Thanks for tuning in to another starting lineup edition on Proline TV as we talk about the race at Kansas, the Hollywood Casino 400. And this is a real important report, as we mentioned on Tuesday, because of the stats that we have for the next gen at Kansas. They are as follows. All 7 winners, okay, well, I shouldn't say all, but 7 winners, okay, next gen. 6 of them started in the top 10. 4 of them started on the top 5. And we also had one pole winner, one pole sit winner. Out of the 7 next gen winners, all 7 had practice speeds in the top 10. 4 of them had the fastest car in practice. The only driver, the only outlier, was Ross Chastain in this race last year, coming from 20th. So that means that if you have a driver that had a really fast practice run, and really is only, I just taking a look at and we're going to get into it in a little bit, the only driver that probably could fit that is not starting in the top 20 and not top 10 on Sunday would be Chris Buescher. He's the only one that might be able to duplicate what Chastain did. Buescher was 8th this year from the 2nd position. Keep that in mind. He had a fast car earlier this year. And also in his last 3 races at Kansas, he has a 2nd, an 8th, and an 11th. When he finished 2nd in one of the races last year, I think it was this race last year, he led 53 laps from the 12th position. And Buescher will be starting 15th. So Chris Buescher is the only driver that I would take based on those stats. And I rely a lot on these stats to win the race. But let's now zero in on the drivers that have the best chance. And they're going to be the drivers that you're seeing right here. Because I'm not going to deviate from such a trend line like that. That's just too strong. And from what I've seen so far in practice and qualifying today, it leads me they got no reason to change course. All right. Because some of the drivers that I'll be going with after what I saw today are drivers that legitimately had a shot coming in. That includes pole sitter Chase Briscoe. All right. And also fellow Toyota Denny Hamlin. We'll stick with the Toyotas first. Bubba Wallace and Eric Jones. Those are the 4 drivers. Now, Jones is worth a long shot. Probably be 50 to 1 or something. It was 100 to 1 on Tuesday because he had a pretty good day today. Maybe he'll get the odds cut in half. All right, throw a buck on him or something like that. Make your money back if somehow Eric Jones wins the race. But, Eric Jones hasn't had any success here for a while. So I'm not really going to go nuts about him as a sleeper or a long shot. But I think, hey, big number, throw it in there. Why not? But as far as the other Toyotas, and Toyota is very important too, because if you look at the manufacturers, out of the 7 next-gen wins, 4 were Toyotas, 3 were Chevy. And one of the things that you see missing here in qualifying are Fords, and they did not have a good day. Josh Berry, who's actually the only pick, I think he's the only pick, right? Was Josh Berry our only pick? It was a Ford. Yeah, Josh Berry was the only pick that we made on Tuesday out of the 6 drivers that was a Ford. So, hey, he's the fastest Ford in qualifying. So I feel good about that, I guess. Not really. Okay, so Ford's in big trouble. But Chevy and Toyota looking good. Now, Briscoe and Hamlin. Let's start at the top. Hamlin was the 2nd choice on Tuesday at 6 to 1. And if you could still get 5 or 6 to 1 on Hamlin, I think you should run to the booth. He has 4 wins here recently in 2023. So he has a next gen win. Matter of fact, in the next gen, 6 top 10s, 5 top 5s, 2 runner-ups, and a win. The only problem is the last couple of races, he only led a combined 3 laps. Earlier this year, did not go well for Denny Hamlin. Also didn't drive well at Vegas. And Vegas is the only track that we're worried about when we're talking about similar tracks with Kansas. So that's a little bit unnerving. Is that Denny in his last couple of races here, not so good. This year, not so good. This year, Vegas, not so good. So that's the thing. But he did start 14th this year. Now, much better starting position because his average starting position in next gen is 14.4. His average finish is 8.2. So if he could qualify well, which we mentioned the other day, watch out for Denny Hamlin. Well, he did it. He had a great day today. Best car today. Definitely Denny Hamlin should be the driver to beat. Chase Briscoe, meanwhile, our sleeper. He's been our sleeper for like a couple of months now. And he doesn't have a great history here. But again, that's okay. It's a new team this year. And in his new team, he had his best finish, 4th. The only time he's ever had a top 5 at Kansas in 9 starts. He's never led a lap here, though. So he's going to look to lead his first lap here tomorrow. But he does have a win in the Xfinity Series. So I think that matters a little bit. He also has 4 top 10s and 4 Cup playoff races. You were getting 11-1 on Tuesday. You're not getting anything close to that, I believe. But still, if you're getting 5-1, 6-1, 7-1, I'd say that's great. Do it. Hamlin, Briscoe, you even can combine the two and just maybe take a couple of long shots like Jones and Buescher or something like that. And I even think still Berry. And I think you'll be okay. I just don't. I just never want to go for the 3 and 4-1s. You know, that's too low. But if I can get a 5 and a 6-1, that's not bad. Because again, just think about it. If you put $100 on both drivers, and even the lesser driver wins at 5-1, you're still making $300. So as long as those, and I think those odds will be right around there. Hamlin might even be less than that, but I don't think Briscoe is going to come down dramatically because of other drivers. Well, actually, before we get to Larson, let's stick with before we get to Chevy, let's stick with the final Toyota, and that's Bubba. Now, Bubba was 25-1, and his odds will come down a little bit, but you'll still get good numbers. You'll still get a good number, and he's won this race before. He won to the next gen in 2022, the first year of next gen. Wallace has never started in the top 5 before, with an average start of 15.2. Just trying to make sure if this is next gen or not. Let's see. I think it might be his last 4 races. His average finish is 24.7. His average start is 15.2. He's led a combined 3 laps. Either way, the bottom line is, including his last 2 races, by the way, 26th and 34th, not getting off to a good day on Saturday to equate with a good Sunday, and also similar to Hamlin, did not have a good Vegas. So, or at least a good Vegas finish. So, I think Denny is also a nice long shot because you're going to get good numbers. I mean, 25-1, I don't think he's going to come dramatically down. You should get 15 to 20-1 on Bubba. And I don't think that's that bad if you're looking for a nice little sleeper long shot. Now let's talk about the Chevys. Let me take a look here while I do that, so you could take a look at the rest of the field. Because there's William Byron, the top Chevy outside the top 10. And as far as the other drivers, key drivers like Reddick, who else? Bowman was my long shot pick. Kevin Rogers picked Alex Bowman, and he did not look good today. So I think we look pretty bad there. We're in bad shape there. And then look at this. Look at Penske. Cindric 26th, Logano 35th, and Blaney 37th. Something is obviously wrong with Penske. Blaney wound up with a tire issue, clipped the wall, and did not practice. So I guess he's going to a backup car. And but Logano did not have any of those troubles, and yet, boy, was he slow today as well. So Penske not looking good at all for tomorrow's race. But let's go ahead and talk about these Chevys because Kyle Larson was 4-1. He was the favorite, and the reason he was the favorite, He's got 3 wins here, 2 of them in the next gen. Matter of fact, if you want to just go back, let's go back. Well, let's just talk next gen first. 6 top 10s and 7, 5 top 5s, 2 runner-ups, and 2 wins. He's led at least 64 laps in 4 of his last 5 races at Kansas, winning 2 out of the last 3 of them. In his last 8 races, including the last race before next gen, he's got an average starting position of 3.8 coming in. And where does he start? 3rd. So that's going to come down now to maybe 3.4 or something. His average finish in the last 8, though, 5.8. But, what do you expect? He can't win every race. 9th at Vegas, led the most laps in the race, 61. And that last race before next gen, he won from the pole, leading 130 laps. But we've been doing this now for a couple of months, and we have not gotten affected by it once, meaning I think we've stayed away from Kyle Larson like 90% of the time. I think maybe one of us has taken Kyle Larson once each since the Indy 500 weekend. So we just have stayed away from him, and he hasn't come back to bite us yet. And so I'm just going to keep doing it until I think it's time or until he wins. And the good thing is, if you're looking for a Hamlin, if you're looking for a Briscoe, or some of these other drivers that we'll talk about, Larson is going to help you out because he's still going to be the favorite, especially since he's starting up right here at 3rd. Now, his practice speed wasn't as good, but it was a top 10 practice speed. So that definitely qualifies for the trend we were talking about. The other Chevy, and the better Chevy, I think, to go with is Chase Elliott. Now, Elliott also had a top 10 practice speed, just behind Larson as far as the run here, as you can see, in 4th. And he was 13-1. So you're getting a great deal of better numbers there for Elliott, which means that even if he comes down a little bit, you should still get 8-1 range, maybe even 10-1. He's got a win here way back in 2018. If you look at it, he's on a nice little run now. He's got a couple top 5s coming into this race in his last 3. He had a good car here earlier this year. Even though he finished 15th, he had a pretty good car for the most part. He's got 4 top 10s and 1 top 5 in his last 5 races at Kansas. But he's only had 1 top 5 start in next gen until today. So I think that is a big deal. And I think Chase Elliott was CJ's 2nd pick. Matter of fact, CJ's top pick was Hamlin. So CJ must be feeling pretty good right now with Hamlin and Elliott coming into tomorrow. And again, I still think you should get a pretty decent number on Hamlin. So I would be jumping all over maybe even that threesome there of Hamlin, Briscoe, and Elliott, as long as the numbers don't go too crazy. But I don't think they will. And then the other Chevys, Hocevar and Chastain. Well, Hocevar was really slow in practice, so I can't really go with Carson Hocevar this week. He hasn't really shown a whole lot here either. His best finish here was this year when he finished 14th, so there's that. And he started 32nd. And here he obviously is a much better starting position. I'm not going to say it's the worst idea in the world for a long shot, but the practice speed is a bad sign. But Carson Hocevar, 7 top 15s in his last 9 races on the season with 4 top 10s. So that's a good sign coming in here. May not be a bad idea if you want to put him into the top 5 or top 10 somehow. And then Chastain's numbers a lot lower, 14-1, the defending champ. As I mentioned, he won from the 20th starting position, but he had the fastest car in practice in this race last year. Problem is Chastain was really slow in practice today and just barely made the top 10. I don't think his odds are going to change much. They were 14-1. He was 5th at Vegas. So he's got a couple of things to like, but remember, he does not have a top 5 since his win in the Coke 600. And I just see a ton of other options to take more than Ross Chastain. And other Toyotas that were also in the top 10, Christopher Bell and Ty Gibbs. Now, Gibbs, very slow in practice, so I'm not really excited about taking Ty Gibbs. And he had a really complicated week So I just don't think this is a good week to take Ty Gibbs. He also averages starting 12.1 in his career here. And so this is a little bit better, but his average finish is 24.5. And he was 28th this year, starting 6th. And he's basically starting 8th. So yeah, I don't see Ty Gibbs as an option this week. And then you have Christopher Bell. Now this was disappointing because Christopher Bell has 4 poles here in the next gen. So his average starting position is 3.2 with 4 poles. And yet he's only starting 5th. Boo-hoo. But his average finish is 9.5. And he's never won a race here. With all of that speed on Saturday, he does not have a win here. He does have 6 top 10s and 3 top 5s and a runner-up and 7 next gens. And he's led close to 200 laps. Matter of fact, he led 122 laps in this race last year from the pole, finishing 7th. He also has an Xfinity win at the track. And the good news is his odds were 9-1. And he had a good run earlier this year. So, good in this race last year, good this year, always up front on a Saturday. But that practice speed, it was the real disappointing part. Not very fast. I average it out to about 15th, I'd say. Again, it's the whole deal. We go through again in practice during these playoffs. You've got the non-playoff, the weaker drivers first, the group coming out second. Usually the track is slower. The whole drill. So I'm putting Bell about 15. So that's a little bit disappointing. But 9-1, if you're still getting 9 or 10-1, which you should, still not a bad idea if you want to go with Christopher Bell. So that's what we see here in the top 10. I'm going to pop up the practice speeds here. So again, it's hard to go by these as accurate based on the way they bring out these groups. But Denny Hamlin, I believe if he's 3rd here, I believe that makes him the fastest. I think Bub is 2nd. So I kind of move those up into the beginning there. That's why Buescher, if you do want to say, hey, Buescher was 1st, great. Because he was fast today. So that's why I said he's probably not a bad long shot idea, similar to what happened last year with Chastain. As you can see here, the rest of this list, he's got to move a lot of these drivers up, though. But still, disappointing run for Byron. Very slow for Chastain. Incredibly slow for Logano. Blaney didn't have a chance to get going, as you can see there. Kyle Busch, I don't know how I keep saying it every week. He's just the whole team is just they're not with it. Okay. And there's Josh Berry, also a very disappointing practice run. I was very disappointed there, but I still think he's a pretty good shot for a sleeper, long shot. So overall, we have 6 out of top 10 in Toyotas for qualifying with the front row. Chevy's got 3 of the top 6, and Ford does not have a driver in the top 12. So again, it's what we've seen so far. All this data, everything's the same. Toyota's the best, Chevy's 2nd, Ford a distant 3rd. And that's why I said it at the outset. I'm pretty confident that what we've seen here makes sense, which is why, again, making my final observations without really knowing the odds, I think Hamlin and Briscoe should be your top plays. I think I would go Elliott for sure, as long as his odds still stay pretty up there. I don't want Elliott at 6-1, but if I can get Elliott close to 10-1, anything there or higher, I'm jumping over him as well. And then, you have to decide things like long shots. You got Wallace is a good one. Jones is a good super long shot. Buescher's a good long shot. And I still think Berry is worth a long shot play because you're going to get a long shot number on him. I wouldn't touch Logano or Blaney. Forget about that. To tell you the truth, the only Fords I'm touching are Buescher and Berry. That's it. There are a couple of long shots. I'll throw them in there. That's all. I don't want anything else to do with the Fords. And there you go. So I hope I've given you enough ammo to get ready for the race tomorrow. And you got some good information here. It's just a matter of which way you're going to go. I'm sure most of these drivers that again, unless something crazy happens tomorrow, most of the drivers that we believe are going to be there at the end should be there at the end. And I'm really talking more about the top drivers like Hamlin, Briscoe, even Elliott, and maybe even Bell. I'm just not confident yet in Kyle Larson until he does it, until he breaks through, until he beats us. Then we're just going to keep ignoring him because of his low odds. Just no value right now on Kyle Larson. So thanks for tuning in. Let us know if you have any questions, comments. Please subscribe to the channel. It's the best way to support the channel. You could also hit that thanks icon. And by hitting the thanks icon on the bottom of the screen, you can donate to the channel yourself. $1, $5, whatever you want, and let us know why you're donating. You have a comment, a question, we'll definitely make sure we point out to everybody on our next show who you are, and thank you for supporting the channel. So thanks once again for tuning in. Have a great day tomorrow, and then it's off to the Roval next week. Unfortunately, unless you're an SVG fan, and then it's another playoff cut race, another cut line race. So we'll be excited about that, I guess. So hang in there. Good luck tomorrow. We'll see you next time.